My name is Brian Frishcosy, combat veteran. Did one tour in Iraq. For 5 years in the Army. Been in jail for 4.5 months. Working oil refinery for 20 years. Married 18, 3 kids, 21, 17, soon to be 18, 12-year-old, soon to be 13. We're basically 3 adults. Enjoying life. My wife is a special needs assistant teacher at a school down the road. She also takes care of a child with special needs for the mom. No, we moved from Arizona. I grew up most of my life in Washington, New York. We moved here 2013, so 10 years ago. Love it. Enjoy Arizona. Really like the military career. I joined the Army. My stepdad, I remember growing up and looking at it in his closet and seeing his uniform and all his pictures. And it was more of a pride thing to me. At least that's what I told myself. I did good in the military. Wasn't the greatest thinker, listener. I really didn't do very good with authority. My wife can vouch for that. And most of the people that were in contact with my fist would also say the same thing. Got in a good amount of trouble. Worked a lot as a bartender, bouncer, waiter, cook, line cook. I worked at Outback Steakhouses, Johnny Carino's, a couple of restaurants in Washington, small restaurants. Speedway, flipping hamburgers. I worked at a racetrack, flipping hamburgers at a concession stand. I mean, I'm pretty well rounded. Been around. Obviously been to Canada. Never been to Mexico. Been to Iraq, Germany. Stopped in Ireland, but never left the airport. Korea, traveled. I like to get down to Greece. They're having some wildfires right now. I texted my buddy Michael Kionis today. Greece, if you're doing good, text me, let me know how's everything going out there. So you talk about different moments or experiences in military career. Obviously, Iraq built the birthday bridge across the Tigris River, the longest bridge ever built in combat, float bridge built in combat. As a 12 Charlie bridge crew member, I operated boats mostly, but we also trained for mechanical skills to work on our boats when we needed, to work on bridge parts, or to work in retrieval of bays or boats. Worked with the divers a couple of times up in Iraq. They ended up having to blow a house off for foundation for us one time, and I remember there was 2 boats hooked up. One boat was pulling up river, and actually there's 2 boats pulling up river, and we were pulling sideways. And once they blew it off the foundation, our boat kind of started getting whipped around, and we actually had to cut our cable with a hatchet. Luckily, we had our hatchet, and yes, you can cut a cable with a hatchet when it's very tight. And luckily, we got it cut, and the boat got free, and we didn't get sucked under with the house. A couple missions we went on. I remember cruising upriver, pitch black. I mean, if you can ever imagine just cruising upriver with no sight whatsoever and just hoping there's water underneath you. And then one time my boat just stopped, and I was like, oh God. And I got out and I looked and I was like, oh wow, sandbar. We spent like an hour trying to dig out my keels, my boat, so we could finally get water to the keels to get water to my hydrojet and get the boat off the sandbar. We had a couple other boats with us, and that was great fun, great experience. Separated my ankle in Iraq. I don't know if you know what separating ankle feels like, but I don't either. I just know it hurt. The top became the bottom as they separated. So I looked down. I was actually standing on the top of my foot, and I was looking at the sole of my combat boot, which is very disturbing to anyone who's ever had that happen. Obviously, at the time, I had so much adrenaline running through me. I just set it and tried to get back to my commanders, my sergeant, Staff Sergeant Skelton. I believe they ended up taping my ankle up. They wouldn't take my boot off. They knew it was broke or separated. And then they threw me in the back of a Humvee, and I rode on a bumpy road all the way to the Cash Hospital. And they lived. But a quite funny story is a friend of mine, a battle buddy from Korea, Trigarthan, I don't even know his first name. We were calling him Trigger. His wife, it was actually he met in Korea when we both got sent to mental health for burning ourselves with cigarette lighters. He actually married his mental health counselor, and I guess she got shot while she was playing volleyball in Iraq. And I remember seeing him walk past when I was in the hospital bed, and I was like, I know that guy. And I was like, Trigger. And he's like, Fish? And I'm like, what the hell? He's like, oh, dude, my wife got shot. I'm like, what? You're married? That was crazy. And so we talked for a little while, and then I never saw him again. Anyways, he's probably still out there, him and his wife, Trigger. Much love. great fun. I still remember the day you were naked, wearing a clear John Deere poncho, cooking hamburgers outside the barracks in LaGuardia, Camp LaGuardia, in Uijeonbu, Korea, where we were, and hollering at me, "Fish, you want a burger?" And just butt naked underneath that clear poncho with a John Deere hat. I don't know, you just love John Deere. And yeah, I mean, I have hilarious stories from Trigger and many of stories from Korea. And some of them just pop in your head once in a while. But traveling adventures, worked on as a pipe fitter, traveling around the United States, doing what they call a West Coast circuit of oil refineries. So it was mainly Washington, California, Montana, Utah. You can work in Wyoming. A lot of guys did. I never worked in Wyoming. I drove through it many times. But mainly I worked Washington, California, Montana, Utah, Alaska at a fish plant. But we'd travel around, and it was like every 6 to 8 weeks, you would work, you know, 10, sometimes 6, 12, sometimes 7, but usually not 7 days a week. It was usually a good 6, 12. And on that, I was able to support my family, but obviously by supporting them, I had to work on the road. And so I missed a good chunk of my family's life, my kids. And obviously, the joke about traveling guys is the reason we stay married for so long is because we do travel and we don't get sick and tired of our spouses, and our spouses don't get sick and tired of us. But the funny thing is, sometimes you come home and they do get sick and tired of you, and then they go, "When are you going back to work?" And so it's always kind of quite funny when it happens. But then you think about it, and then it makes you have deep, deep thoughts, and then you always wonder why they wanted you away from home so much, and then you never know. So obviously, I was a bad person. I cheated a lot, and my wife suffered for it, and I am here to make up for that as much as I can and enjoy the time that I have as a spiritual being having a human experience. I tell people now, who knows death is bad? I mean, no one really can tell us what happens afterwards. I mean, it may be the greatest thing ever. I mean, I'm not saying I want to die. I'm just saying if it happens, it happens, right? You know, there's a lot of people out there, you know, Joe, superintendent boss of mine, his father just passed away a couple of days ago from a bicycle accident. I was texting a guy, and an affiliate marketer that I met on one of these websites on Meetup. His brother just passed on the 5th of July. My grandfather passed a while back. My wife's mom passed with cancer, and my mom's passed at 50 with basically alcohol poisoning, basically drank herself to death. So there's the things. I mean, death is everywhere. You know, it's like one thing I heard and I love is our life is an hourglass, and we only see the bottom of how much sand is ran through, but we never see how much sand is left. I mean, it could be minutes, or it could be hours, or it could be days or years. Like Tony says, you know, we're between hours and 70 years, 7 hours and 70 years. We never know. So some of these books that I read, they express as we all have the same amount of time. We all have 24 hours in a day. What do you do with your time? Makes us who we are. Do you choose to do lackless things or non-ambitious things or waste your time per se? Or do you plan on making every day better than the last? And that's the one big thing I try and I've experienced more with is getting to a healthy weight was very little work. My wife and kids can vouch for how much I weighed and how much I've lost, and the what I've put into it is very little. It's watching what I eat, you know, controlling my portions and thinking about what I eat as fuel for my body rather than just a substance that needs to be taken because someone said I need to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. You know, I like I said, I listen to my body more. It's more mindfulness eating to ask yourself, do I body want this or does it need this? You know, so we all do a lot of things I feel like that we want, but we kind of lack on the need. And I believe Tony and a couple other guys, Tony Robbins, say we major in minor things. And I think the more we focus on minor things that don't have to affect us at all, the more we worry and stress ourselves, the more we're in our fight or flight, and that higher state where our bodies are ready for action. And we don't have to run from a saber-tooth tiger anymore or anything like that. So the big thing is, what I try to do is, if something doesn't affect my life immediately, I usually just let it go, think about it, figure out a plan, research it, and then get over it. I mean, you owe money, you owe debt. I mean, it's life. You owe debt. I mean, everyone owes debt. Look at all these millionaires, billionaires, they owe money. I'm learning, becoming an insurance salesman, a life insurance salesman, taking all the classes and courses and getting ready for my Arizona state test. That's amazing knowledge that I've learned. What with school is nothing compared to what others were taught. I feel like they almost have two different classes that teach people their insights on balancing family and life with extensive travel. And I wish I knew the secret. I mean, my wife is a very amazing person, and she is the only reason I'm still married, technically, because she has had the options many a times to leave. Obviously, so have I, but my kids have stuck through it. My wife has stuck through it with me with perseverance and persistence. I tell her every morning, or I try to, I love her, because we don't know when the last time is that we say that. So be happy while you're living, for your long time dead is a Scottish proverb I heard a while back. And if you guys don't know, I have an amazing collection of post-it notes of sayings, and my wife can vouch for my colorful wall going on here. I don't know. It keeps me going. Like I said, I just look at everything, and it's kind of like that's where the million post-it notes. How are you going to get $1 million? I don't know how you're going to pick up a million post-it notes one at a time. Start picking them up. You only earn $1 million when you start earning money. You got to earn that first dollar. You got to earn that first 5, that 10, that 20. You got to make money. Say profit is your fortune and wages are for living. And I never really thought about the whole 70-30 rule about saving money and paying yourself first. And until I did, I really didn't save money at all. It's always been kind of, oh, I got this much money, let's spend it. It's kind of how my family was growing up. I feel like, kind of like eating. You're going to eat all your food on your plate, like, or you're going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because that's what we have to do. But when I started thinking about food a little bit different, like I said, fuel for my body, I cut back on a lot of candy, a lot of sugar. I love gummy candy. Sour Patch Kids, obviously, Swedish Fish. I remember growing up, going to the grocery store, and little convenience store, we call them, and we'd buy penny candy. And so we'd save up money. And my mom had a garden growing up. We kind of lived on a self-contained farm. We had cows and chickens and ducks and geese and pigs and whatever else. But I remember the slugs would be so bad in Washington, my mom would pay us pennies for every slug we'd catch. And so we'd have buckets and buckets. She'd just give us pennies, and then we'd take all the pennies and we'd go and get penny candy. But I don't remember ever saving money. It was the minute I got it, I had to spend it. And I see my children do the same thing almost sometimes. And so I wonder if that's just handed down through genes or something, or if it's just the way that they experienced life as a sponge when they're younger and saw how we spend money. And I'm a firm believer in that, because my real dad, I never knew, or I shouldn't say never remember knowing when I was younger. And I met him when I was 16 again. He explained to me that I saw him a couple times when I was like 6 or 7. He took me to Disneyland with, I want to say, one of his ex-wife's children, but I don't remember it. But it was funny because my grandfather and me and my dad were almost exactly alike, minus our age and our hair colors. Crazy, our personalities and traits and our likes and dislikes were almost identical. And so with that, it was, I've been doing the study of genes and the brain, and neurolinguistic programming, NLP, Tony, big thing he does. But I got into reading Think and Grow Rich, and I'm on my 5th time reading it. I read the revised edition 4 times, the unrevised edition once. That's the main one I'm concentrating now. If you ever have the chance to read the unrevised edition, I would highly suggest it. Way more insightful than the revised edition. Outwitting the Devil, I read. Bob Proctor, I read a lot of his stuff. The Art of Living, Change Your Paradigm. There's his podcasts and listen to a lot of his stuff. Progressive realization of a successful goal. Roan, Success Leaves Clues. Another one, Tony's Mentors. Be a student, not a follower. Money will make you happy or unhappy, so you might as well have a lot of it. Bob Proctor loves to say that. You know, money is not evil. It's what you do with money, or what people that do with money are evil, I suppose. So just like a weapon, everyone says weapons kill people, but from a military point of view, this thing right here is what kills people. It's called a finger that pulls the trigger. This thing does not work unless his brain tells it to work. So I like to tell people it's not a weapon problem, it's a mental health issue problem, you know? And this is coming from someone that's been in the military, has mental health technically, because PTSD, the military gave me disability for, which is grateful, I guess. When she discussed 18 years of marriage and life, fathered young adults, I gave them everything I didn't have. Me and my wife tried to. I can only speak from my past, and she can speak for hers and what she's told me. I came from a good family. My stepdad was always there for us, you know, no matter how much I thought at the time. He always did well for us, you know, always gave us what we needed. And we, of course, as kids, we wanted a lot of things, but what I'm learning now is there's way difference between want and need, and what we can handle in life and what we can't handle in life. From the military point of view, I know our bodies can handle a lot more mentally and physically than we push ourselves to, which allows me to be better than the next person due to my military experience and due to my, I was homeless after the military. I got really bad into drugs. I spent 2 years on methamphetamine. I started making it. It was a horrible experience, yet it brought me to who I am here now. And a lot of things and choices I've made in life have been from that situation, and understand what, you know, your body can and can't do and heal itself. I've had some pretty horrendous accidents at work, mostly uh, self-inflicted from me doing things too fast or doing things without thinking about the consequences. And my body has healed itself with just Neosporin and a band-aid almost. Obviously, there's a lot more internal things that heal than the external that I never see. And like I said, I try to wake up and thank myself for everything it does. For one, waking up, to give gratitude for the digestion and the heart pumping and the blood and the fighting off diseases and whatever else. I mean, my body is basically at war 24 hours a day. And I mean, when was the last time you thanked your body for doing anything that it does? And then you ask for it to do more and more each time, but yet you want to be so ungrateful and just use and abuse it and treat it like a roller coaster or a Ferrari in a demolition derby, and then ask for it the next day to give you more, and it won't. Some days it will. Depends on your driver, I suppose. I mean, see here. Oh, there's no one in here. It says open the floor for questions, but since there's no one in here, I don't have to worry about questions. But if any of y'all have questions before you guys can send me, this message will be recorded and sent on the website. So feel free to ask me questions. I'm here to talk. I do love meditation. I try to meditate every day, twice a day, actually, morning and at night. Every day, twice a day. You can probably see it over here. I have it written up on the wall. My wife's Ford Bronco that she would like and she will receive. Obviously, you see the American flag. My massage chair in the background. On my cat's wall, they make gracious for the presidents once in a while if they want food. Apologize now if I cuss. They like to jump on my back with claws to get my attention when I'm doing Zoom calls. So if I do let an F-bomb drop, I apologize in the future. See here, transition to the meditation session. I mean, I can meditate. I want to sit here and talk about meditation. I can do a standing meditation. We can do that. Guide participants through. Okay, so standing meditation. I'm going to do some Qigong exercise. In, stretch. Breathe in. Raise your hands up. This is called lifting the sky. Stretch. Look up in your hands. Exhale. Out the mouth. Push all your oxygen out. sucking your stomach, push up on your diaphragm, breathe everything out, hold it for a couple seconds, then breathe in, hands up, lifting sky, stretch, exhale, stand relaxed, let the energy flow over you, positive thoughts in your mind, get a negative thought, old saying, in with the good, out with the bad. That was it. Sometimes the hardest part is not falling asleep. Get so relaxed, not thinking. I heard something the other day when I was watching YouTube stuff on meditation. I always talk to Dr. Joseph Benzio was talking about people when they think they're doing meditation wrong, that it doesn't work or whatever. It's the aspect of you have to understand that you've programmed your mind and your paradigm for so many years that it doesn't take one session to fix it. It takes multiple sessions, multiple times. It's a persistence that helps. Einstein says, "He who understands compounding interest will be paid. He who does not will owe." And I've learned about compounding interest through insurance and through other things, and it's an amazing discovery to figure out. And that's just like with anything, what you get out of this thing. You reap what you sow, but you sow what you reap. It's just the complete opposite. So like the cause and effect, and like Dr. Joe says, why don't you cause your effect? And you don't have to be the cause of an effect. You can cause your own effect. So what you do will cause an effect. So if we know we do a certain thing, obviously we can think positive mental attitude and go, there's no gravity, there's no gravity, there's no gravity, and jump off a building when we know damn well that we're going to fall to the ground and die. So you have to understand there's laws of nature that no man can change. They're not man-made. So the laws of gravity, laws of abundance, mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, gender, hermetic principles, think and grow rich, 13 principles, desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision, persistence, power of the mastermind, enthusiasm, subconscious, the brain, and sixth sense. Like I said, there's so much vast knowledge out there. We have access to it all, but we have to want it. We have to understand that no problem is permanent. If we have perseverance and we don't treat everything like it's personal, like Tony Robbins says, then we can better ourselves every day. There's just so much to talk about and explain. Like you said, I just started doing these a month ago. I think I've done 5. I think this is the first one I've actually really recorded. Mostly, I thought people would actually show up and join in, but I am just recording this right now to listen and learn and to watch and get better. I have Zoom meetings to sell life insurance, so I'm getting more comfortable in talking to people through Zoom. I don't have a problem really talking to people in person. I do feel like sometimes I get nervous on Zoom calls, but I really don't in the same aspect. So it's like your opinion of me. I speak the way I speak. I'm born in North Carolina. I grew up in Washington. I work a lot with Cajuns and Texas people. I speak a little Somalian, Hangul, which is Korean. I speak some Spanish. I speak multiple different languages. None fluently, just all kind of phrases and sayings just to be able to talk to people I work with. Because when I worked in Alaska, I worked with a great amount of Somalians and Africans, and so to learn a couple words in their language helped me to talk to them. Plus, it gave us a bond and connection, and they seemed to work better with me than most people that did not like him. And yes, I was in the army, and yes, I worked with Muslims and had no problem. I know that there's a difference between radical Muslims and non-radical Muslims. The same thing, there's bad white people and there's good white people. I'm German, and I've had people call me a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I'm not a white supremacist. I don't believe all races are bad. I believe all races have bad ones in them, including the white race. But just like anyone says, if you take away our race and our religion, we're 99% the same thing. So just like the Army taught me, we all bleed red. I was in the world's largest gang, the United States Army. We all wore camouflage. We all wore the same color. It's kind of a joke, but it's true. I mean, I have many members and friends that If I called right now, that they would drop everything to come help me, and I would do the same for them, no matter what it costs. Movie yesterday, me and the wife watched about free diving. So kind of really wakes you up thinking about selfless service and what people do for each other. There's a diver that saved someone else, even though knowing that he may not make it. And afterwards, she could have she had two ways to go. She could have been bent up and angry for the rest of her life, or she could have continued on enjoying and living her life. And she continued the second, and she broke 25 more world records after he passed from saving her. And she says that every one of them was for him. And so that just goes to show that no matter what you're facing in life, two ways you can deal with it. You can stick your head in the sand like an ostrich, or you can fight back and show the world you're not done. And one saying I learned a while back is, I want to tell the whole world what I want to do, but first I'm going to show it. And I used to say the saying a lot, and I still do, but it's don't talk, and it goes with that whole showing the world what you want to do thing, because anyone could talk about doing something, but someone that has the actions and the drive and the persuasion to push on besides everyone else's feelings and cares or hope or needing of anything. Like I said, we all face problems. Like Tony Robbins says, don't ask for no problems. People don't have problems with dead. Ask for better problems and ask for the wisdom to deal with your problem. It's like you said, we all have problems. We also take care of your health, because we don't want to be the oldest man in the graveyard, they say, or the richest man in the graveyard. That's what it is, richest man in the graveyard. You don't want to have all this money and then die. And, you're just the richest man in the graveyard. So enjoy your life while you're living it. Live your life. Like I said, we and moved my daughter's friend in to help her out, and I dropped what I was doing and drove out to Colorado. Luckily, I own my own business and I'm an entrepreneur, and so I was able to vehicle drive out to Colorado from Arizona, 770 miles. It took me 12 and a half hours, almost 13 hours. Drove out there. We got out there about 10 o'clock, ate dinner, talked to the grandparents of JJ, a friend of ours that's staying here. And then from there, we slept and woke up the next morning around 6, packed, got truck loaded, and we're back on the road by about 6:45, 7. And then we got home after stopping at Four Corners in Arizona, which is amazing. I didn't realize it was that close. It's kind of cool. I've seen the Four Corners business opportunity, handed out plenty of business cards. Still waiting some phone calls to get some business rolling on some advertising. So I know it will happen. Saw some good people out there, met some good people. And then we got home around 7 o'clock at night, 7:50 at night. My wife had some amazing chicken Alfredo that she made with our youngest daughter. Good kind of home. We got home. We all take care of each other, we're a family. So we try to understand each other's needs before they're needed, to eliminate worry and want or anything. Anyways, on that, kind of rambling on about all kinds of things here. Open floor. Oh, excuse me. It's water here. Recap key inside. Like I said, there's really no one here to ping pong any recaps or things off with. So this is just a recording. If you're watching this, appreciate staying and watching the whole thing. Let me know. Like I said, DM me, message me, call me. You can check out my website on the Meetup account. So if you're watching this, obviously you've seen the Meetup account. My website's on there. I do free meditation class. Like I said, just trying to help people out. I know some people think it's just a big gimmick, whatever. I just, meditation's easy. It just, all you gotta do is do it. And everyone says we don't have the time to do something. You do. Everyone does. Because if I do it, you can do it. Everyone says, I don't have the time. Well, then go to bed earlier. Well, then go to bed later. It's up to you, And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.